Okay, this video we're going to finish up and configure the ODOTcadd standards and the ODOTstd standards. So in the ODOTcadd standards, we actually deliver a configuration tool. So if we go into our standards folder and we look at the ODOT folder and then utilities, you'll see an ODOTcadd underbar client configuration tool. So we're going to launch this. Okay. And so this is going to kind of do all the backend configuration for us. And in the next video, I'll go over what that backend stuff was for those of you who are interested. Okay, so the way this works is it's going to show you all the products that it will configure up here. So it's looking at what you have installed and it'll show you. So it's only going to configure these 3 products. Okay. And so to start this off, we're going to start off with what it needs to know in order to configure the ODOTcadd standards. So the first thing is where is your ODOTcadd folder? So I will move it over into my demo folder, but you guys would put it to wherever you guys ended up installing it to. So if I could actually go to the right folder. Staff, JDirSig demo, ODOTcadd. Cool. Okay. So the next thing it wants to know is where do you want to store the user preferences for this standard? This is, I guess I should stress this. This is on the user side, guys. So the last video is more on the admin side. To get the standards. So the idea here is that you have one set of standards and then all of your users are pointed to that same set of standards. That way you only have to update that one set of standards. Alternatively, you could put the standards on each machine and then configure each machine to that standard, but then you have to worry about updating the standards on each machine. So you would do that more for like a laptop if you're going to take it out into the field or you're not going to be able to access the network. That's when you would do something like that. But the preferences, so this would be, per user preference. So you need to choose a spot where only that user would be editing it, or make it different from a different user if you're going to be pointing them all to the same location. So for this demo, I'm just going to put it inside the demo folder. So I will create a new folder. And we recommend you call this ODOTcadd user. So let me select that folder. ODOTcadd user. Okay. So now the last thing that it needs in order to configure the ODOTcadd standards is the PCF folder, which is the project configuration file. So with ODOTcadd, we had changed the configuration from ODOTstd to make use of a project-specific configuration file. What that means is every single project has a configuration file that sets some variables specific to that file or that project. So MicroStation can only look for these PCF files at one location. So we can't store it, inside of a project folder. They have to be all in the same directory. So you can choose where to put this, but I am going to put it in the demo folder, and I'm just going to call it project PCF. Okay, and then I'll point to that. So there's that. So that's where the project configuration files go, but while I'm at it, I might as well create a folder to store the actual project files. And so we recommend for ODOTcadd you call it project data. And so these will be like your project files where your DGNs and spreadsheets and all that for a specific project go. Okay, so that's all that it needs for the ODOTcadd standards, but there's the second section. So if you want to set up the ODOTstd standards, you can just check this on. If you're not, check it off. You don't have to worry about it. Okay. So the first thing let's know is where is your ODOTstd standards. So I'll go and select my ODOTstd folder. And then it also wants to know where your preferences for this standard. So I will create a new folder, and I'm going to call this ODOTV8istd_user. All right, and then I'll select that. Okay, cool. And the last option here is the create desktop shortcuts. What this does is when you open MicroStation, what standards do you want to use? Do you want to use the ODOTcadd standards? Do you want to use the ODOTstd standards? What about the Bentley delivered standards? These desktop shortcuts are set up so that they can launch the specific standard that you would want. So I'll show you once we create it. So I'm going to hit configure. Now, very important to read this. So there's a warning right here. This will delete all files in the following folders. So it does clear out your ctemp folder and your user preferences folders. So this is me warning you right now that if you have anything inside these folders that you don't want to lose, you should probably get them out of there before you hit OK. Okay. So this is not my fault if you lose files, because I'm warning you right here, right now. So heed the warning. Okay. So hit OK, and it just configured everything, and process complete. You are now good to go with the standards. But let's take a look here. So I'm going to close this down. So here's all these shortcuts that I just got. I will move them over into this demo folder. So you can see I got a Bentley view for ODOTcadd and a Bentley view for ODOTstd. I got a MicroStation for ODOTcadd and a MicroStation for ODOTstd. You guys know what I meant to say. So there's a shortcut to launch each product in their specific CAD standard. So if I launch ODOTcadd MicroStation, I want to show you guys, make sure you guys launch it correctly. So in the open dialog, you want to make sure that your user is set to ODOTcadd, and then since we do have project-specific configuration files, once you start creating projects, you will see those projects listed in this drop-down. You want to make sure that you select that project to make sure that you get the right configuration loaded for the project you're working on. Okay, so don't forget about that. Now, if I jump over to the V8i or the ODOTstd, this one's going to launch with the std standards. Ignore the project-wise stuff. So here you want to make sure that your user is set to this and your project is set to the ODOTv.std. Now, since we did configuration differently, so we won't have a configuration file for each project, so you don't have to worry about changing this after you set it. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You just want to make sure that's how you're launching into our standards. Okay. So what this gives you the ability to do is now you can easily get to the default standards that Bentley delivers using their shortcut. So we can no longer really double click on a DGN file since what standards would you get? You don't know. So you have to launch it through the shortcuts. Now all that changes come Connect Edition, but you'll see that in the following videos. So the next video I'm going to go over behind the scenes, what the configuration tool actually did for those of you guys who are interested. So see you in the next video. Just kidding. One last thing I forgot to mention was an additional folder that you guys are going to need. So we have a project data folder for the ODOTcadd standards, but what about the ODOTstd standards? So what we recommend is you create a folder and name it projects. So since the ODOTcadd standards and the ODOTstd standards have compatibility issues, you're going to want to keep the projects separate so you know which projects go with which standards, right? So just want to note that. See you in the next video.